Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take it. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on this Tuesday morning. And it's Tuesday morning, so that means that we're going to be adding DC Capstone Report to the conversation. But we also invite you to get in on the conversation on the Empowerment, Leadership, and People Solutions hotline at 205-342-9904. We welcome you into the conversation. We also welcome those of you who join us on the live stream chat to jump in on it with us, facebook.com/The Martin Houston Show. And hey, listen, if you happen to be one of those who don't get up and add them with us at 6 a.m., you should, because it's a great way to start your day. But if you don't, you can always go back and check us out on facebook.com/The Martin Houston Show. Like, follow, share, tell your family and friends about it. This is where you need to be. It's the Sound of Alabama Sports, your show, your team. Nobody does it the way we do it. We'd love to have you in on the conversation. Bam Bam 72 already getting in his Roll Tide this morning. Alabama takes the practice field once again. We have some audio we're going to get to from all the way back to the first day of fall camp up until yesterday through Fan Day. Alabama doing it a little different with the Yay Alabama's, a new world, new season. I'm sure some fans don't like that. We used to always could count on Super Joe calling us up, telling us that he was going to be camped out for a while, but now that process is through Yay Alabama. Like it, love it, hate it. That's the new world of NIL. But we did get some audio from some of those guys, so we'll see if we can work some of that into the conversation. I don't know if the guys were tired, hot, whatever, but they were not very talkative yesterday in a lot of cases, a lot of quick, short answers, but did get a couple nuggets that I want to get DC's thoughts on as well. It is a very, very exciting time to be an Alabama fan when you're getting to hear from the way they you're getting to hear from so many different Alabama plans. Tim Richardson already jumping in. That was very cool how they did Media Day. So some like it, some hate it. Sort of like A-Day, same thought process. So we'll get DC's thoughts on that as well. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice, be glad in it. Take some time to notice someone, love someone, serve someone. Be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing great, Martin. How are you this morning?
Doing well, doing well. Before we get into any of the audio, anything jump out at you right off the bat with this team from what you've heard?
Yeah, definitely. One thing I wanted to say is what you and I have been talking about for the last couple of shows. It seemed like, I would say 90% of the coaches or the players that spoke yesterday had something to say about the culture change at Alabama, how things are different. Coach Ballou talked about it, the strength coach, and then from the players, you started to hear them talk about it. You heard the word buy-in, you heard the word a shift, things that we've been talking about. So I think what we've been saying has been right all along, Martin. That this team, there's something different about this team from last year's team.
Yeah, speaking of that, let's hear Damani Jackson was asked about that.
I think at the end of the day, we all just bought in. right? You could say last year it was whatever, but I feel like it was just the beginning stage, right? So when we met in January, we all looked at each other and said we love each other. We all came in for a reason, and that was to dominate. So we just all bought in, and the team word this year is unbreakable, and it's true.
DC, I mean, you have to love that. That was Damani Jackson talking about. I'm not necessarily a big fan of words, but we had Lank, and the interesting part about Lank is that it's that you're trying to prove something to someone else. So your motivation is external. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But this one, he said that they had that meeting and they got together. And if we can use something, a come to Jesus meeting, and people hear that term, and I don't know if people always understand what that means. When you come to Jesus, what is that? That's ultimate transformation, right? So they had to come to Jesus, had to come to Jesus meeting based on what Baloo said it. And I don't have his audio, but he pretty much said, "Hey, if you don't like it, get up out of here." Your thoughts?
If you don't like it, leave. That's what he said.
Go ahead.
And that's the kind of buy-in that you need to have, right? I mean, you've been on part of a team, and you can't have the Bible speaks of it. A house divided against itself will fall, and you can't have a team that's divided. You got to have a team that's solidified together, and that's the type of leadership you need to foster that. And so, I think that's the big shift in the culture this year is that type of leadership.
Yeah, and I don't have it right off. I thought I had it, but Keelan Sabb asked him about why he returned, DC, and he made a similar statement as well in the fact that that they didn't feel like they did accomplish what they wanted to accomplish last year. And because of that, he came back, and guys like Damani Jackson seems to be confirming that. And you're right, DC. That's what happened with us in '91. We had one of those team meetings, and ours was, hey, listen, we wear that crimson jersey, and that in and of itself means something. And there's a standard that represents, and we're going to play to that standard, and we're going to sacrifice, pay the price. We're going to do what it takes. And if you're not willing to do that, it's okay. It's okay if you're not, but you have to get out of here. You can't stay on this team. And
yeah,
go ahead.
I think Coach Saban used to say, and I'll use his statement on this because I think it's good. Coaches can talk about direction and vision and process, but the identity of the team comes from the players, and the players have to buy in and take ownership. And I think that's what's happening with this team. This team is taking ownership, and when you have a meeting like that, just like you did in '91, just like these players did in January, that meeting it signifies that they're taking ownership for this team, and that's going to label this team as what their identity is going to be.
Yeah, and it's a sign of maturity, DC. When you look at it, last year they lost to Vanderbilt, and then they tried to adjust, and then they lost to Oklahoma, and then they tried to adjust. Well, you're in the season. You're pretty much, for the most part, who you are, and you can get better, but you're not going to see the big transformational shift. When you have all off season to work on it and to build together and to grow together, and that's what we see. Is this team? This was a January thing. This wasn't from after immediately following a big disappointment other than the season before, right? And because they had all off season, like I said, nothing has happened on the field yet, right?
Right.
To me, when you get to the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Texas, the Georgias, the Oregons, you know, and now even Notre Dame in that conversation and Penn State in that conversation. DC, really, talent is not going to be what wins the game for you. I mean, especially now. I don't know that I think the talent now is dispersed even more than it used to be. So talent isn't going to be that thing that's going to be the KPI, the key performance index that gets you over the top. It's going to be, I know it's some people may think it's soft and all of that, but it comes down, it's team chemistry at this point, DC.
Yeah. And some people might say, well, we haven't even played a game yet, and you're all talking about how great the chemistry. What happens when they get, hit in the mouth the first time? Well, look, this meeting happened in January, and now we see why this team held together after spring practice, and no one transferred. That means that's a deep buy-in when 0 people transfer. And we've been saying that. You and I have talked about it over and over. I don't think people realize how important that was for the coaches and for the players, because they see something. Everybody doesn't get their way in spring practice. Everybody doesn't get to be number one. Everybody doesn't get to start because you got such a large team. But so that mentality that they established in January was still around when spring ball came, and everyone bought in, and everyone goes. So it's got to give them confidence that things are changing. And I think you see that, you heard that when they're talking about, we put on the pads, but the fatigue didn't bother us as much as it did. And I think they were comparing that to what? The only time they can compare it to was last year.
Yeah.
So I think they're seeing small differences in their language and their talking. If you listen to people long enough, they will reveal to you what they're about and what they've changed, what the changes are. Yeah, I think we've seen that so far.
And like I said, I literally believe as a leadership coach and a guy who my profession is building teams and building championship cultures and building better people, I believe chemistry is what moves teams from good to great. I believe that I mean, give me a overly talented team that has poor chemistry, and give me a team with average talent and great chemistry, and I'll beat you 9 out of 10 times. Nobody's perfect, but I'll beat you with that team that has chemistry. Over and over and over and over again. It's sort of like, and think about military. If you go into the military, you want that guy that's beside you. You and him want to have good chemistry so that when something's said or you make a move, he knows what move you're making and he anticipates it. And we're going to show a little bit of that as well. But DC, I'm also going to, you talk about, I'm going to give a personal story on the other side to tie into what you were talking about, how nobody left. We can't underestimate that. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to share my story and tell you why I'm even more excited based on what we're hearing from these guys. Bam Bam had something to say. I'm going to add his thoughts to it. We're going to add Pat in. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We have DC Capstone report in. Y'all keep Xavier on your minds. His job kind of kicks in when school starts, so he's going to be on assignment for a few weeks. But in the meantime, the phone lines are open for you to get in on the conversation on the Empowerment Leadership and People Solutions hotline, 205-342-9904, or post your thoughts, comments, and reactions in the chat.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you on this happy Tuesday morning. Moving about, we are moving smooth across the area. 2059 looks good as you travel in between McFarland and Joe Malisham. Hopping on 359 is a breeze right now, at least in between 15th Street and 2059. And also looks good on Lurleen Wallace from 5th to McFarland. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
This report is sponsored by Positive Coaching Alliance.
Weather brought to you by Tidwell Chiropractic, the only third-generation chiropractor with over 27 years experience in Tuscaloosa. Call Tidwell Chiropractic at 752-7503.
The Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230 Sports Radio studio is presented by B-Dry Alabama. B-Dry Waterproofing. Online at bdryalabama.com.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Lowe's knows when you're looking for reliability, the right brand makes all the difference. And now, Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retailer for the Whirlpool water treatment line, including their Wi-Fi softener, under-sink filtration system, and more. With Whirlpool's proven performance and our everyday low prices, better tasting, better quality water is within reach. Shop pro-trusted brands like Whirlpool and more, in-store or online. Lowe's. We help, you save.
The all-new Chow's Country Buffet is open now on 1100 Skyland Boulevard, Tuscaloosa. Southern classics with an Asian twist. All-you-can-eat fried chicken, fried catfish, seafood boil, roast beef, brisket, orange chicken, and over 150 additional items. Chow's Country Buffet will be open for lunch and dinner at 1100 Skyland Boulevard, Tuscaloosa. Or check out the website, chowscountrybuffet.com. Call 205-810-8888. The all-new Chow's Country Buffet, Skyland Boulevard. Join us for a meal to remember.
Do you have timberland you don't know what to do with? Give North River Timber Company a call. Courtney White and his team of over 20 years experience offer timber harvesting, timber appraisals, comprehensive management plans for that special tract of land that you own. Courtney and his team can help you decide how to maximize your highest potential for your land. Timber is like money in the bank. See what your investment can do for you. Contact Courtney White at 205-242-5127. North River Timber CO at gmail.com. North River Timber Company.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com, or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky will stay mostly cloudy today and tonight. Just a few isolated showers around. The high today 83, tonight's low 70. Tomorrow a mix of sun and clouds with a chance of scattered showers. The high in the mid-80s at 85. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 71 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're powered by Box Eye Care. Box Eye Care, they take care of you, all of your vision needs. Go see them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. They'll take care of any and all of your needs, and they power us each and every day. You can find them online at boxeyecare.com. Here's what Keelan Sabb had to say that ties into that prior conversation we were having on the other side about this team and why him and guys like Damani Jackson all came back.
I didn't accomplish what I wanted to as a team. I feel like we didn't accomplish what we wanted to. We won the national championship, and we fell short. And I felt like this year with the amount of guys that we brought back, it's a really good chance, and that's what we're striving to do.
DC.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, he's talking about the same thing. We didn't accomplish He's talking about if you talk about in generalities, he's talking about hey, something wasn't right last year. It didn't sit well with us. Same thing that Coach Blues talked about and others. And with the right amount of people coming back, we can compete for national championship. Same thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's that chemistry I think that's going to make the difference. And I know you're going to tell a story about that, but I wanted to say just quickly say this: this takes place on a bunch of teams, and there have been times in Alabama's past history where the chemistry wasn't right, that we lost ball games, and that was under Coach Saban as well. He spoke about it. He said it in other terms, but there was something else on the players' minds that was infiltrating them to getting them off. He used the word anxiety one time. But I listened to a podcast day before yesterday, and Patrick Surtain was talking, and the podcaster was asking him. It was Johnny Manziel. He was asking questions about, hey, you played on so many great teams at Alabama, and he was talking about the talent they had. Same thing you were talking about earlier. And he said the difference was the chemistry. It was the culture that made the difference on the team. And so then, Johnny Manziel mentioned him. He said, "What's your biggest regret?" He said, "I should have 2 championship rings." And he talked about the Clemson game that they lost. And he said the talent was the same, but we didn't go out there with the right chemistry that game, and that made a difference in that game. That's a player talking about chemistry and how it works. I know you got a personal story about how that works, and so it's something that people don't put enough stock in when you're talking about a team. We talk about all the talent in the world. The top 12, 15 teams in the nation have similar talent, but so the best, the cream, as they say, rise to the top because of the culture and the chemistry on the team and the players buying in and driving the ship from within.
Yeah, if you don't have the right chemistry, culture blows up. You just think about in a chemistry lab, all it takes is one wrong ingredient, H2O, will save your life. You add one molecule to that, and all of a sudden that will kill you. That the molecular structure changes, and I think that's the way teams work. But another piece of this, tying into what Sab said, tying into what Damani Jackson said, tying into what Baloo said, DC, we saw the buy-in be, palatable because you didn't have guys leave. But they didn't not leave just because they bought into the culture. They also bought into the team goal. And let me give you an example of that. Now, we ended the season. After that meeting, we got beat 35-0, and then we came back and had that team meeting. And the next week, we played against Georgia. It was the first night game, I think, at Bryant-Denny against Georgia, and we won like 10-0. And we went on to win the remaining 10 games that season. Now, I was married and had been married for a couple years, 2+ years, almost 3, going on, 3 years. At that time, had my degree, had a child. My son was about 6 months old, and I had a job offer. And I had a decision to make, DC, on whether or not I came back and played my senior year, redshirt senior year. And so it wasn't just that I was bought in. It was that I was bought in, but also looked at who we had coming back. And I so believed in the bookends and that defense and what we had coming back on that side of the ball. I watched Jay improve. I watched our offensive line improve. And I felt like we had a chance if we all stuck together. And we all felt that. And DC, before we were hoping to win a national title, I don't think we were bold enough and brave enough to start saying it until that year, that offseason. So that offseason, in January, we were all working toward a national title. That's what drove us in the weight room. That's what drove us on the field. That's what drove us together. And that summer, we had more guys stick around. It's not that unusual now, but you didn't have all the 7-on-7 and all that stuff back then, DC. You know, guys went home and guys didn't always stay in school, but we did as a team. And, man, we came together so strong. And it was us against the world. Everybody was picking us to not be very good. Even though we went 11-1, we came back, started off, and everybody like, hey, yeah, they're number 8. They're the number 10 team. No respect, but we believed. And that's what I see so many similarities in the way this team is approaching that, DC, that I think is going to be really, really, it could be a really, really special season. And Bam Bam 72 said the one thing that stood out to him from these players yesterday was they talked about how close they were. They all seem to have a common goal, and that is to win it all. This is not a me team. Listen to how Keon Sabb even answers the question. I just want you to hear the beginning of his answer, DC, and watch what he starts off with versus how he ends up.
I didn't accomplish what I wanted to.
He who didn't?
I didn't.
But listen to what he transitions to instantly. Watch this.
I didn't accomplish what I wanted to as a team.
Did you hear that? he said but he said what? As a team. So you just listen to what they're telling you, and when they tell you, believe them. Let's get to Pat on this side to break. Pat, you're in on the Empowerment, Leadership, and People Solutions Hotline with Martin and DC. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, guys. DC, question for you. Are we going to rename Alabama Dangerfield? That because we don't seem to be getting any respect whatsoever.
That's a good
I think
thing.
we should probably rename them Bama Dangerfield. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think we're getting any respect because I think people aren't seeing the little things that we're seeing that's changed at Alabama. And I think we're coaches polls got us 8, probably the lowest since 2008 when we started off in the year. But I think the same thing just plays on what Martin just said. The 92 team wasn't getting any respect either. But I think the team within can combat that based on this culture that we got. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people that's going to have a lot of surprise as Alabama starts to win some of these games and play the way they're going to play. I really believe that, Pat.
Yeah, that Dangerfield could be used as a pun intended thing.
Yeah, definitely could be.
And, yeah, for sure. Hey, Martin, y'all have a blessed day. I just wanted to talk about that these polls they total disrespect. But this is a good thing. Go ahead, Martin.
Say that's with the mindset of this team, that's a good thing. It really is. They don't need to be 1 or 2 or 3 because it doesn't matter, and it could take their edge off. They're out to prove to themselves that they are good enough. They really don't care what everybody else thinks. And so I think it's a good thing that they are where they are. I disagree with it in terms of rankings, but after hearing this team talk, I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm real, like I said, I'm real happy too that our offensive line, the shuffling that's going on the offensive line, and there don't seem to be quite as much infighting and things, and same people seem to be going with it, and everybody working together for one goal to become the best unit they can become.
Yeah, I got some audio for that O-line. What were you saying, DC? Thanks,
what
Pat.
I was going to say is I agree with Pat on that, and I agree with you on this, but and a lot of our listeners out there and a lot of other people like these pollsters don't really understand the significance of what we're talking about. You do, Martin. You lived it. You played in it. This type of culture translates on the field in different ways that helps the team. For example, during the year, what y'all were told at the beginning of the year, you got an extra step in this, right? You're going to play the first SEC championship game in order to go on. You can win all your games and still lose that game and not go, right? But that didn't stop you.
Right.
And then when you got down in that game, y'all still believed you was going to win it.
Yep.
And you did. And so that culture, you can speak to that better than anybody. And because y'all were the first team that had to do that, right? To step across that extra step and then get your back against the wall. That's when the culture and this kind of thing makes a difference on the field, I believe. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And remember that game in the SEC championship was dispelling a demon, DC. Remember the last game we had lost had been 22 games earlier, 21 games earlier against that Florida team, 35-0. So, you had to vanquish that demon in order to move on. And when we fell behind, a typical team, I think would have folded. I really do. But what it got us there, stood up and got us over the hump. And we, of course, went on to win that only national title in that 30-year window. And I would tell you that I don't know that we were necessarily the most talented team, but we were the most talented team that was a cohesive team.
Right. Top to bottom.
Yeah. And I think that's what this team is bringing to the table. With that said, there's still some moving parts. When we come back on the other side, we have Philip who wants to get in. Alabama, talk about Alabama's depth. A little audio. We haven't talked much about the O-line the last few days.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you on this happy Tuesday morning. Moving about, we are moving smooth across the area. 2059 looks good as you travel in between McFarland and Joe Malisham. Hopping on 359 is a breeze right now, at least in between 15th Street and 2059. And also looks good on Lurleen Wallace from 5th to McFarland. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
If you find yourself in a wreck, keep three things in mind. First, call the police. Second, take pictures of the scene. Third, call me. I'm attorney Stephen Mizrano, and I win. My firm is committed to fighting the big insurance companies and making sure you get the money you deserve. Call today for a free consultation. I don't get paid unless I win for you. Call 800-8000 or visit mezwins.com. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. They've been doing it the right way each and every day for 50 years and counting. If you're looking for a great option for lunch and or dinner, then you need to check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, and while you're there, don't forget to get a big glass of that sweet tea. Visit them online at tacocasa.com. That's tacocasa.com. Quality, taste, and value on the biggest cactus in town. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow trucks, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit drivesafealabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go unrealized. Call North River Timber Company today. Email them at northrivertimberco@gmail.com or call 205-242-5127.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Houston Hydrosteam. That's Houston Hydrosteam. Quality work you can stand on. Whether you're looking for carpet and upholstery cleaning, oriental rug cleaning, residential or commercial water damage, and a whole lot more, you need to call Houston Hydrosteam at 205-553-9460, 553-9460, or visit them online at houstonhydrosteam.com. And once again,
for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
welcome back in. We're powered by Box Eye Care, and the good folks over at Dixie Battery Supply support us. So go support them. Go see them for all your battery needs. Never feel powerless again. That's DixieBatterySupply.com, or you can find them online. And, of course, if you're located in Tuscaloosa, Northport, or the Bessemer area, they have a physical location that you can go see them. That's DixieBatterySupply.com. All right, DC, we got Philip, who has been waiting. So we're going to work on getting him, Philip back into the conversation. Philip, you're on with Martin and DC. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, hey, DC and Martin, good talking to y'all. DC, I love hearing your comments, man.
Good morning, Philip. Always good to hear you as well.
Yeah. I think this may be a year where the word depth is not coach speak. I really think the depth this year it's as good as I've seen it in a while. It certainly beats last year by a mile. But we've got quality players all over that. If with a little luck, I think that depth is going to really mean something in terms of, beating some teams down the stretch.
I think that's a great point, Philip. And I think I really started thinking about that yesterday. We put up our first podcast for our DC Capstone Report yesterday, and I did a portion on what we talked about this morning, the culture change. But as I started doing my couple of other research, looking at the depth as far as projected depth charts for offense and defense, I found out that there's some really good players and really good experience, a lot of good depth. I don't think there's a team in the nation that has the depth or the types of players we have on our back end on defense or offense. Our defensive backs and our wide receiver room, they're stacked when you start looking at it. It's about who you're going to play and do you have any drop off when they come in. Is a very good question. So I think you're really speaking of that. And then our second is our defensive line, offensive line. And those are hearts of your team. And I really believe we got some of the best depth we've had, definitely, like you said, over last year. But I would put our depth up against a lot of teams in the nation right now.
I would too. And it's as deep as I've seen it in a while. I was watching something late last night. I got in from work real late last night and caught Clint Lamb, and he had a good segment on. They were talking about Mbakwe. That guy, let me tell you, I'm not too caught up in him being behind right now in receivers and all that, because he's such a electric player. I mean, Gary Harris termed Ryan Williams 1A and Mbakwe 1B a couple of years ago. He said it to me. And I believe that, but I think there could be a lot of different offensive packages for him, especially inside the 20-yard line. I think he could be a force to deal with in the red zone.
Hey, Here's what Coach had to say about Mbakwe, and I'm going to come back to that depth question. But since you brought up Mbakwe, here's what Coach had to say about him.
More so, right now than the summer, Bach's made some nice plays here. He's actually gotten practice kicked off in a good way from an offensive standpoint with some big plays early on, and so again, growth happening. It's fun. That's great to see. I feel like, any player, you're always looking, can you trust him to get lined up? Can you trust him to do his job? Those are really things that I'm not worried about with Bach, and so now it's just getting comfortable more and more with the offense and the timing and working with the guys around him. So the growth I would hope for is what I'm seeing.
And what I want to point out, two things there, Philip, is I totally listen on this. Listen to what's being said. Listen to understand. He said he's really beginning to make some plays offensive wise, which tells me that he's already solidified himself, I think, as a special teams guy. It's almost like they were expecting him to step up into the special teams area, but expected a longer transition. That sounds like a coach who is pleasantly surprised at the growth of what he's doing from the offensive side of the ball. He points out that he can trust him and that he's not worried about him. So that means that he can put him on the field and he's not worried about there being a drop off. To me, that's what I believe he's communicating there.
Right.
I agree 100%. But to take it a step further, Coach Shep spoke about him yesterday. And he said, let me tell you, my number one guy, since he came into the room, nothing but a bright spirit, nothing but a great attitude. He spoke about his attitude. And I was talking about the culture of his growing. He was not dissuaded about starting from scratch in the offense and learning it. And then to hear Coach DeBoer talk about how his growth has been what is better than he's expected, that just goes a long way with his attitude, I think.
Yeah, and I say this, Philip, and I'll let you respond. You need to understand, Philip, when you hear Gary said 1A, 1B, let me tell you why Mbakwe wasn't highly rated or just as highly rated. He played about 3 different positions, and he moved to quarterback his senior year and led his team to the state championship against Williams. So, and then he came into Alabama and made himself available and worked himself into playing time as a true freshman on the defensive side of the ball. So back to your point, Philip, that you brought up when you came in was about depth. It's not just that Alabama has talent. Look at how this coaching staff, the reason you feel like there's more depth than there was is because this coaching staff will play guys who are good enough to play. Saban didn't do that. And I think that cost Saban a national championship. I think we lost to Georgia because we had all year to get guys ready. And then when our receivers got hurt against Georgia, game 1, and then turn around in game 2, we didn't have those young guys ready to play because we didn't play them in key moments when the game mattered. This staff, this staff has the exact opposite approach. They actually play for depth. So they and you can create depth, by the way. This is what people don't get. This is what I mean by that. You can create depth, and of course I use myself because I lived it. When I played as a redshirt freshman, Philip, I wasn't ready to play. I wasn't ready to play every down in, down out. But they gave me certain portions of the playbook. And those portions of the playbook, when they were called, they knew that it didn't matter if Kevin was in the game or if I was in the game.
Right.
Because I had my packages, to your point.
And to speak to your point right there, Martin and Philip, another great thing was a soundbite yesterday from Rico Scott. if you got a chance to go back and listen to the soundbite from Rico Scott, he said exactly what you just said, Martin. When they asked him about his freshman year, he laughed a little bit, and he said, "Hey, I wasn't used to not being the man. I wasn't used to not being the man, but the way I got worked in when I was ready made me available when we were all sitting there at the Michigan game, and there's nobody in the room except me and another guy who's healthy." And I felt like he said, we didn't win that game, but I went out and competed. That's what's launched me into having a great summer and a great year this year, because I've had the confidence that I can play on this level. He said exactly the same thing you just said.
Well, the more guys that punch the time clock in game situations, the more guys you're going to have against LSU, Tennessee, Auburn, Georgia, on down the road, to help out. They got to punch the time clock. It can't just be about practice depth. It's got to be punching the time clock in games.
Yeah. You can't be just falling on the ball, playing when you're out there to take the victory formation. You got to play in the key series.
Yep.
One of the biggest
coaching staff does a great job with that, and the players said it, and I think the coaches have said as much. And speaking of that, Philip, you have anything else before I let you go?
I need him to give me the name of his podcast again. DC Capstone Report, is that it?
DCCapstoneReport.com. You can follow us on Facebook, it's on YouTube, Spotify. DC Capstone Report. It went up yesterday.
Oh, great. All right. I'm going to subscribe to that today.
All right, great. Thanks, Philip.
DCCapstone.com is where you can find it, and then you can download it, subscribe, and take care of it. We'll be back on the other side, DC, and we'll talk about, is Alabama working on depth at the one area that I do think I have a little bit of concern with? Are they working on depth in that position? I'll play some audio on the other side and get DC's response as well as yours.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of The Game, we'll talk to Mike Detillier from WWL, the Big 870. We'll talk to Adam Rittenberg from ESPN. We're going to continue our conversation around Alabama Crimson Tide football practice. They're back out on the practice field today. Ryan Grubb, the audio he delivers following practice. We'll cover that starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. It is a quiet ride thus far, and it just continues to move smooth. I'm looking here on to 2059 at University Boulevard in Cottondale, and that's all good right now for you. Also, 2059, as a matter of fact, in between University and all the way to 359, you are traveling green for go. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org.
The Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230 Sports Radio studio is presented by Be Dry Alabama. Be Dry Waterproofing. Online at BeDryAlabama.com.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, but one thing's for sure. You need a PC you can rely on. Whether it's for school, gaming, or whatever your next chapter holds, Lenovo.com has the tech to help you succeed. Shop PCs right now at Lenovo.com during their back-to-school sale, where students can save more when they sign up for a Lenovo Education account. Free shipping, easy returns, flexible financing. That's Lenovo.com.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Labor, ABA, and the station. The Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
It's Alabama Campers Grand Opening Event in Tuscaloosa. Find new Forest River, Keystone, Salem, RVs, and Sprinter fifth wheels.
You'll find a great selection of new and pre-owned RVs, front living, rear living, 2 entry options, and more. Many with low or no down payments. Experience the great outdoors. Alabama Campers Grand Opening, 5126 McFarland Boulevard East in Tuscaloosa. Easy financing and top-tier service at Alabama Campers and online at alabamacampers.com.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. We have DC Capstone report in on the conversation. It is now time for the Harvest Church 2-minute warning. Harvest Church, we love God and we love people and we love the opportunity to love on you. Check us out tomorrow night as we have a special back-to-school prayer service where we promote our students as well as pray over students, admin, and all of those who work in the school system. Meal at 6, service time at 6:30 p.m. Love to have you come out, bring your students, bring yourself, and we'll be praying for you. DC, here's Coach DeBoer talking about this offensive line group. Are they creating depth, or have we seen a guy who I said could be the next Landon Dickerson step up?
Competitive piece, and then you also have this is what we would do, and just guys learning cross-training in different positions, and Gino's got to play center on top of guard, and so, he's a Swiss Army knife that way, and really important to us. And I really like the way he's developed coming back from a year ago. He clamps onto you and he stays connected. That's something I've seen really with his growth, and then he's comfortable in all those spots, and playing aggressively, playing confidently.
Do you want, I guess, both Jaden and Cam, do you want them to cross train at both guard spots as well? Is that kind of same with Dolehouse? What's kind of the plan?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think they probably start out at their spots and get most of the snaps, but there might be small situations as we go through camp and see how it goes, and you want to kind of distribute some reps there just to get a guy in a pinch some reps that he feels comfortable with and he's put in that spot.
Coach, DC, respond.
Well, I think we're talking about creating depth and cross-training, and I think you're talking about a particular player in Gino Vandermark that can play center or either guard position. And so when you have that type of talent on the team, I think you got to use it. So I think they're trying to find a place for him to contribute, but also get him ready to spell others when needed to provide that depth. It sounds like he's going to be your second option at center, even though you've got Rock Montgomery and Iota behind them that's been playing center. I still think that he's your best option at center, so they don't want to cancel him out of not doing that and then not have someone ready for the other position that if he's playing it. So that's why I've always said that him and Dewberry, if they're at the same talent level, that both of them will be playing at left guard.
Yeah, and DC, and I think Vandermark may suffer from being versatile, meaning that if he's the starting left guard and he goes down, you lose your starting left guard, your backup right guard, and your backup center. So he may end up not being the starter, but may end up being one of the best five. It's just weird how that works out sometimes. And I remember Landon Dickerson being moved around a lot, but he brought a mindset, and I love it. Coach said he locks on and he doesn't let go. I want to see that in the run game. I want to see Dewberry doing that. I want to see Jaden Roberts doing that as well.
And I think that's another product of seeing Jaden Roberts running with the twos. I mean, there's a big thing made of it by some of the people just happened to be there that saw him running with the twos. Don't read anything into that. He's not losing his starting job. Nobody's competing for his starting job. But that's the way you build depth. To have someone, you have to take those first team reps at that position in order to build depth, right? You can't just be the first game, the third game of the season when you finally take a rep at that side. You got to take reps there in the scrimmage and in practice in order to be ready for the game. That's the way different thing. That's why Coach DeBoer is doing it differently than we have seen in the past. Actually giving that game or scrimmage time experience with the ones.
Yeah, and I would say, DC, I do feel like we have 6 starters. I do think there's some depth, but I still have a major concern with that left tackle and right tackle position. I think the interior is really solid. So that's still my concern there. Your quick response, and then we'll talk more about it on tomorrow.
I agree that quickly. I think those are the only places on the tackle left and right that I think there's some issues that could still be worked out, but I think it can happen.
Absolutely. I do too. And we'll talk about some of the crazy numbers that, these guys reported. 32-inch vertical by a 366-pound man who squats 815. That's some serious power and explosion. Woo!
Yeah. And that, I hope that translates to the run game.
I do too, because Roberts squatting 900. That's a lot of beef and a lot of power. Hopefully we'll see it. We'll talk more about that on tomorrow. We'll also talk about the tight end position and more depth. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. That's DC Capstone Report. He dropped his podcast, DCCapstoneReport.com. Go check it out and subscribe. He'll be back with us next Tuesday to continue to break it down. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, and not your own understanding, and all your knowledge. He will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody.
Come together. It's up to you.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9.